Good evening, everyone. Happy Thursday. It is March 19th. I am Michelle Kinney. You're watching the Daily Dispatch here on the Mayday Network with my co-host, my co-founder, my good friend, Julie Roginski.
Michelle.
It's been a crazy week
Yes.
on a personal level and also just with the news and everything. And before Julie takes off tomorrow for a couple weeks on an excursion to the other side of the planet, where hopefully you will not be inundated with all of this bad news 24/7.
Michelle, I didn't think I was going to be inundated with bad news. And then I'm going to Japan for people who don't know.
Yeah.
And then the Prime Minister of Japan showed up in Washington today. Who knew? And
Who knew?
Donald Trump decided that Pearl Harbor was a great thing to joke about. So I am mortified to be an American today with this president, and even more mortified that I'm going to have to go look Japanese people in the eye starting whenever the hell I land there. It's such a long flight. I don't know what day it's going to be, but I guess I'm landing on Saturday, Tokyo time. And I'm like mortified. Who wants to be an American in Japan right now with this idiot?
Who wants to be an American anywhere, quite frankly, including here? And I say that with the news that we wanted to bring everyone today. If you hadn't seen it in the slew of other nonsensical things happening today and every day, some new news dropped on former FBI Director James Comey. So as we know earlier, I guess it was how many months ago? It was last year, I think in the fall, he was indicted by the Trump DOJ, as well as Letitia James, Attorney General of New York. Axios had the scoop today on this news story. James Comey subpoenaed in alleged quote unquote grand conspiracy against Trump. Just to give you the why it matters, I think Axios is really great at this kind of breaking it down. He's been subpoenaed in a wide-ranging grand conspiracy case against the ex-officials who investigated and prosecuted President Trump. Two sources with knowledge to the situation have told Axios. Why does it matter? Axios says that the investigation has produced more than 130 subpoenas since cranking up last year. They target top officials who worked under former presidents Obama and Biden. I kind of can't even, like, it's the whole thing is, well, I don't even have words. Zoom in says the Trump administration's grand conspiracy theory is that Democratic officials bent the rules, broke the law, and lied under oath to investigate, prosecute, and otherwise undermine Trump from his election in 2016 through his federal indictments in 2023. The whole thing is baloney. We all know it's baloney. They know to an extent it's baloney, but that's not really important, is it?
No, and I want to talk about how preposterous this is for anybody who actually knows what happened in 2016. So to be clear, they're pissed off because apparently Jim Comey and others have talked about Russian election interference. I want to just say that Jim Comey was probably the worst FBI director maybe since Herbert Hoover, but I would actually, that's debatable. Because the truth of the matter is that Donald Trump would likely not be president today if not for Comey and his decision to prioritize his own political survival over exposing Russian election interference. And just to give people some background if they don't know, in 2015 through 2016, so at the height of when Trump first announced that he was running for president, and then obviously going into the 2016 election. Comey's FBI investigated Clinton's use of a private email server while she was Secretary of State, right? The Bureau ultimately concluded that Clinton had been, quote unquote, extremely careless, but didn't commit a prosecutable crime. To put this in perspective, despite the fact that she did not commit a crime that they were going to prosecute, he totally broke with precedent in July of 2016 by holding a press conference to announce his decision not to recommend that she be criminally charged. But the press conference itself was an outrage. Because under normal circumstances, either you make the decision to charge, in which case you make a statement saying, you know, we're charging, I don't know, whoever, so-and-so, Jane Smith, for XYZ crimes. Or you make a decision not to charge, in which case you don't say anything. That's how it works, right? They don't hold a press conference maligning the target, but in fact, that is what Comey did.
Mm-hmm.
And his language, which criticized Clinton's handling of emails while she was while clearing her legally, gave the Republicans all the ammunition they needed to attack her integrity, and it took up media oxygen all summer long. And I want to just talk about what was happening, right? Because while that was happening, in June of 2016, or even before that, US intelligence agencies were tracking Russian military intelligence as it hacked into the Democratic National Committee servers and Clinton campaign accounts. Mm-hmm. And that was starting in 2016. The stolen material began appearing in outlets like WikiLeaks, and it was often timed to maximize political damage to Clinton. And by October, the Department of Homeland Security and the Director of National Intelligence formally said that the Russian government was behind the hacks, and that they were seeking to interfere in the election.
And who was Russia in cahoots with? I mean, that's the other part of this, is like, I'm thinking about the timeline here, right?
Yeah.
In terms of like Pizzagate, like all of this stuff was happening at the same time that Russia was pushing out all these conspiracy theories. Who made these up? This was part of that whole, I mean, this is where the Epstein
there are two things going on exactly at the same time that Comey did that press conference about Clinton. Mm-hmm. One was the Russians were interfering to damage Clinton and to help Donald Trump. And the FBI knew it. Mm-hmm. And the FBI knew it because they were investigating it. Did they make a public show of investigating it? Did Comey hold a press conference saying the Russians are doing this? Fuck no. That's one. Two, virtually on the same day that he held that press conference, a young, well, she was not a young girl anymore, but the attorney for somebody who had been 13 when she had been allegedly raped by Donald Trump called the FBI to report that Trump had raped this woman who had then been a 13-year-old girl. Did the FBI investigate that? Did they open an investigation? Right. Fuck no. Fuck no. And I'm sorry for cursing, but I'm so incensed about this that somehow we're supposed to think that Jim Comey didn't put his finger on the scale to help Donald Trump all along.
And what was the words that he used? You know, I remember in the weeks or months after Trump was inaugurated the first time, there was a hearing or something, and he said that the thought that he had tipped the scales for Donald Trump in any way possible made him mildly nauseous, if I remember correctly, and that, you know, this is where the "Lordy, I hope there are tapes" line came from. Like, again, and I know I say this all the time, but somebody somewhere decided that Democrats punch down and Republicans punch up. So going after Hillary Clinton seemed like fair game, but somehow going after Donald Trump or the Republicans didn't. Like, that's it's to infantilize him and them to the point of, well, you know, Hillary's Hillary and she's been around and she's probably going to win anyways. And I mean, the whole thing is just insane. And here we are on year 10 of this shit. And like, I just
want to give people the timeline here, okay? Because I think this is so relevant. So this Russia investigation was going on throughout this whole process, apparently in tandem with the investigation into Hillary's emails. But the only thing we knew about was Hillary's emails, right?
Right.
Like, Comey didn't think to say, oh, wait a second, a foreign hostile government is putting its finger on the scale to help Donald Trump get elected. And by the way, what I'm saying here is 1 billionth what the Russians were doing. And if you want more information, just go to my Substack and read my 20-part series with Ogle Atman about what they were doing. And the FBI should have known about it under Comey. And if they did, shame on them for not doing anything about it. And if they didn't, then, you know, I don't even know what we're doing here.
Right.
But let me talk about what else was going on. All right. Because this is so relevant, Michelle. And this is just, you know, like, Comey to me is such a failure. At 2:16 p.m. on the 4th of July, 2016, a New Jersey patent attorney named Thomas Meagher contacted the FBI's public access line to report that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein had sexually exploited and raped his client in 1994 when she was a 13-year-old girl and had just completed the 7th grade. Okay? And several months earlier, that same survivor, who went by the name Katie Johnson, had filed a lawsuit against Trump and Epstein in Riverside, California, alleging they had held her as a sex slave and repeatedly sexually assaulted her when she was barely in her teens. Like, did the FBI think about investigating this? This was a public lawsuit. It got dismissed on a technicality because she didn't know how to file it properly because she was doing it pro se as opposed to hiring a lawyer, which is when she ultimately hired this Princeton lawyer. But days before filing, so in 16, right, her lawsuit gets thrown out. This guy, Thomas Meager, she hires him. He refiles this lawsuit in June of 2016 after Katie Johnson, the pseudonym, hired him as her lawyer, right? Days before filing that lawsuit, Meager reaches out to the FBI field office in West Palm Beach to report that he was about to file a civil complaint against Trump and Epstein and asked that the Bureau provide him with names of other survivors or witnesses. There's zero evidence that he received the help he needed or that the FBI launched a probe based on his allegations. But I want to put in context what was going on. So July 4th, 2016, Meager reaches out to the Bureau's public access line. That was exactly 2 weeks before the start of the Republican National Convention in Cleveland, where Trump was going to accept the Republican nomination. A federal probe into those allegations would have not stayed quiet for long. It would have changed the trajectory of the race. Comey did nothing because he did not want to look like he was putting his finger on the scale to harm Trump. But
he did the opposite. That's the thing that's so crazy.
Yes. But on July 5th, the very next day, friends, the very next day after the FBI received that complaint that Donald Trump had repeatedly raped a 13-year-old girl, alongside a convicted pedophile named Jeffrey Epstein, Comey held that press conference to announce that he was closing the investigation to Clinton's handling of classified materials and then proceeded to trash the shit out of her. I mean, I can read you.
Had no business doing as FBI director.
No business doing.
Or any of it.
Nobody's ever asked Jim Comey, why on the one hand are you not doing anything to put your finger on the scale about Trump potentially raping 13-year-old girls? Right. But on the other hand, you have no problem holding a press conference. You know why, Michelle? Exactly for the reason that you said. Because Democrats punch down and Republicans punch up.
Which is bullshit and not true, but somebody somewhere just like decided this, and it's just how everybody looks at the situation now. And, you know, I was thinking about all of this today, you know, while this is going on and we have a war raging on the other side of the world, and prices are rising for average Americans. I think that they're saying that gas, it was like 250. I don't know how this works, but like $250 a barrel or whatever.
Brent crude is over $100 right now, and it is headed to be over $200. That will be the highest. It's gonna make the Great Recession look like a garden party. Yeah. We're headed for a depression here,
which again never needed to happen. So I look at all of this and I look at how much the average American right now is suffering. I don't even know how many of them know why they're suffering or who's to blame, but there was one person and a bunch of people around him is to blame, and it's Donald Trump and everybody else in his orbit and everybody who voted for this again, because we all knew who he was. We all knew. I think, and I'm like, is this what you guys voted for? Wars and going after James Comey again? Like, that's the thing about this too. I was like, you already tried this. It didn't work. So now we're going to try it again. And on this list of people who are part of this probe, I mean, it's a long list of people, a lot of familiar names, right? Brennan, I think Hillary Clinton, I feel like I saw her name on there somewhere. The whole thing is just ridiculous.
Strzok and, you know, they're
FBI
agents. Yeah.
Right. So maybe it wasn't Hillary, but it was, you know, it was a long list of just like people from that time period. We all remember their names being talked about a lot. And, you know, I was like, I'm sure there was a good amount of MAGA voters who did vote for this. They do want the retribution. They do want to stick it to the libs. But at what cost? People are dying. People are dying, and a lot of more people are going to die. And not just because there's bombs dropping in Lebanon and in Iran and other parts of the world and Venezuela and soon to be Cuba, because this is what we're going to do now. Right here at home, people are going to die from viruses that could have been prevented with vaccines. They're going to die from cancers that could have had treatment or research funding. People who can't access healthcare, who've had their, their healthcare subsidies taken away. I mean, it's there's so many ways in which, I mean, people are going to starve. People are going to starve. I want to play this clip really quick, Julie. This was a congresswoman from Minnesota, Michelle Tafoya today. She called in, she was on a radio show, and this is what she had to say about people complaining about the gas prices because of the war in Iran that was made up and we don't need to be doing.
What are some of the big issues on the minds of voters there in Minnesota?
Well, yeah, look, we've all been told that the word affordability is key, and it is. And right now, I would say, look, we had gas prices at a 5-year low, and we were really enjoying watching that. And now here we are in a conflict in the Middle East, which is bringing gas prices up again. I know it's frustrating, and I know it's hard for people. What I would say to them is we've lost some service members over there who have put their lives on the line to protect us, to protect the region, protect America's friends in the region. We can all, it used to be during the past wars, especially World War II, Americans got behind our servicemen and women, and we did little things to show our support for them. We collected metal, we recycled stuff, aluminum, so that we could, help in the war effort. I think right now, at least just kind of keeping a stiff upper lip, maybe you take one less trip to Starbucks, and so that gas goes a little further until this thing is over and these gas prices come back down again.
One less trip to Starbucks, folks. That's what this is about. Somebody should have stuck to Sunday Night Football. Someone should have just stayed on the sidelines of the NFL and not wasted the rest of our time and tax dollars with her nonsense. Nonsense.
She's running. She's not elected yet, but she's running.
Well,
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And are you fucking kidding me? I'm sorry. I said this today on the show with Olga Lautman. For people who are going to hear me repeat myself, I'm sorry, but I truly feel very strongly about this. I watched, and I know you did too, Michelle, those dignified transfers of those coffins, of those service people coming home in a coffin. And this is not about a trip to Starbucks. This is about, why are those people dead? They have children. They have parents. They have spouses. They have
human beings.
They are human beings. They're not dying for our allies. They're dying because Donald Trump thought that this was going to be a walk in the park. And somehow he was going to bomb the shit out of Iran along with Benjamin Netanyahu, and they were just all going to collapse. When every single person in any position of influence who was not a yes man would have told them that Iran was not going to just collapse. You know how we know this? Because Iraq didn't just collapse. Because Afghanistan didn't just collapse.
No.
Because Nazi Germany didn't just collapse. He thought this was going to be Venezuela.
I don't know where these people are getting this. It's same with Putin, right? I mean, Putin thinking that he's just going to like sashay into Ukraine and it's going to be over in 3 days and blah, blah, blah. But it's the same sort of authoritarian circle around both of these people, Putin and Trump. You have a circle of people who are afraid to tell them the truth, that this is not going to be a walk in the park, that this is going to be long and difficult and expensive and deadly and not good for you, sir.
If I were the family members of those people who were coming home in a coffin and any member of this administration showed up, I would say no, thank you.
Well, did you see what Donald Trump's PAC is doing?
Yeah, of course. They're raising money on this. It's a death cult. It's a total death cult.
John Ossoff, yeah. I was going to say John Ossoff talked about it in a hearing today. Today or yesterday. I have no concept of time. I don't even know what day it is. But Mark Kelly had brought it up as well, obviously. as a veteran. He was very upset about this. But yeah, they're using the faces and names of dead soldiers to raise money for Donald Trump. That's what they're doing. There is no shame. There is no bottom. There is no line they will not cross. There is nothing. There is nothing that these people will not do. And again, like the stupidity on top of the corruption, on top of the cruelty, and on top of the lack of humanity. I want to play this really short clip too, because Tulsi Gabbard was also asked about this. And I feel like I am sitting in the middle of an episode of Veep, unable to even understand what it is. I don't know how anyone can say so many words and say absolutely nothing.
Assessment products.
Did you or the IC make any assessments as to the timing of potential threats facing the United States from Iran in the last 90 days?
I'm sure there was timelines factored into the intelligence assessments that were delivered.
Did any of them show imminence?
The imminent nature of a threat is determined by the president based on a totality of the intelligence and information provided to him.
Did any of
What?
Isn't
Like,
she
that was
supposed to
like
be
a
providing the
link.
intelligence to him? She writes the daily brief, or she submits
Right.
the daily brief at least. The CIA does it, I think. But
Like, that was the LinkedIn equivalent of just jargony nonsense. Like, she didn't say anything.
well, what she basically said, if I'm reading between the lines here, is I don't know. That's up to the
Mhm.
president to determine.
Right. Mhm.
Then why do you have a job if the
Right.
president himself is doing intelligence gathering?
I mean, maybe her job is, and I say maybe her job is to provide that intelligence to the Russian government so that they can then hand it off to the Iranian government and tell the Iranian government exactly where American soldiers and ships and bases are so that they can bomb them and kill American soldiers. Because that is exactly what's happening. I don't know if she's involved, but listen,
She's
one
either
has
an
to wonder.
asset or a useful idiot. The
Yep.
nicest thing you could say about her is that she's a useful idiot. I mean,
Yep.
you guys, like, it's only been a year.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
only been I mean, you have the stupidest, most incurious president on earth
Mm-hmm. Dumb
who
as
has,
rocks.
who has access to the best intelligence on earth. And yet the intelligence, the head of our national intelligence is saying, oh, no. It's him. It's his gut. He's the
Mhm.
one that determines this. I mean, this guy couldn't find Iran on a map.
Oh God, no way.
He
I mean,
couldn't find Iran on a map. He couldn't find Venezuela on a map. He thinks Cuba is outside the hurricane belt.
I heard that. I mean, my former boss famously had a very famous line on CNN. I don't know if you remember this, when he said something about Donald Trump wouldn't have been able to find Ukraine on a map if there was the letter U and like a picture of a crane. But it's true. Like this, he's not ashamed of not knowing anything. He has no curiosity.
he prides
There
himself
is- yeah, he's like, being stupid is cool. Like, all the cool kids pee their pants. And then you've got, Pete Hegseth out there this morning. I have to give it to this sycophantic press pool that they have over at the Pentagon. I mean, somebody asked a halfway decent question about the $200 billion that they asked for to continue doing wartime stuff. And he's like, and Pete Hegseth said, it costs money to kill bad guys, and then kept using the word wartime. And I was just like, what in the John Wayne jackass, again, nonsense. They're all playing house. And I
Exactly
think
what they're doing.
they're all playing house. They're all playing G.I. Joe. They're all trying to play, I went to science school and they didn't. Like, I mean, it's the incompetence is off the charts. And this doesn't really have anything to do with, well, it does, with that and with James Comey. I don't know if you happen to see this, but last night on Stephen Colbert, Ed Norton was a guest, and he got up and, they dimmed the lights and they just put a spotlight on him, and he recited a poem by Walt Whitman. And it was the most beautiful, brilliant, like quietly brilliant thing to see on late night television. And I wrote a comment on the post, actually. because I thought that it needed to be said. And let me just read it here, if I can open this. I said, this is why we watch the Colbert Late Show, and this is why we will follow Stephen Colbert wherever he goes. Stephen never talked down to us, not once, not ever. He hands us Whitman and trusts that we know what to do with it. He treats greatness and intellect with the care it deserves and puts it where it deserves to be on late night. That's the bar, and that's the thing we don't get back. And the reason I wanted to bring that up in this conversation is because we're talking about priding oneself on not knowing anything and being stupid. And that is not a bug of this administration. You know, it is a feature. And it is a feature of this moment that we are living in, where everything around us is making us stupider and crueler and more empty. And then, you know, Brendan Carr, the FCC chair, has been making more and more threats to broadcast television. And this is just more and more creeping. You can't even call it creeping authoritarianism anymore. This is authoritarianism. We are living in an authoritarian country. You mentioned today on the show with Olga that we're ranked, what, 54th democracy in the world, and falling. And so while, you know, this is all connected, everything around us, the culture that we're living in, that we're losing. And the democracy and the justice in our court system, and like going after people like James Comey and watching Tulsi Gabbard talk in circles with nonsense, and Pete Hegseth taking your hard-earned money and spending it on a war that is not only insane and illegal, but it's unjust and it's unnecessary. And in just a short period of time, these people have managed to destroy whatever credibility this country had left.
And he's doing to other nations what he did to people.
Yep.
To women, right?
Yeah. What else would we expect from a rapist?
From a rapist. He's doing that to other nations. It's just, and he's making the rest of us complicit because he was elected.
Well, I mean, power. He was elected. Right. This is how he's done business. That's how he's gotten away with his egregious crimes throughout his life. He continues to just, you know, even financially, he just declares bankruptcy and just moves on. He's like, somebody else will foot the bill, not me, not me.
It's that famous line in The Great Gatsby about Daisy and Tom Buchanan, where there were careless people and they broke things.
Careless people. That's careless the name of that, the Facebook whistleblower book. That's the name of that book.
But it's true. I mean, but this time he's not just breaking people, he's breaking countries. And I don't know how this country recovers. I mean, after he's gone, because again, the world could have said, well, they elected him the first time. They didn't really realize what they were getting into. But this is now twice. And
you have people more upset in the news today about the Bachelorette being canceled.
A show I'm proud to say I've never seen once in my life.
I watched a couple episodes against my will. I hate that show so much. It makes me crazy. I understand people like it for their entertainment, but really, 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 really hate it. And
reality TV, I can't get into it.
I hate it. I hate it in ways I can't describe. Not to mention also having been part of the whole American Idol thing. I have very strong feelings about
You were an American Idol?
Well, I went to like a second, third round thing back.
You did? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
It was like 2009 or something.
Okay.
I mean, anyways, it was a long time ago, but it's all fixed and it's all fake and none of it's real. And it's just it's unscripted television essentially. And it just makes us dumber and crueler and, you know, careless. It's rotting us. It's rotting us. So people are more upset and informed about that. I saw something today. It was like, oh, ABC is going to lose millions and millions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars on the revenue of this season of The Bachelorette that's not going to air. I'm like, tough shit. Who cares? Who cares? Do any of you know what else is happening?
Like, you guys, we are in World War III. I've said this consistently. It started 4 years ago, and this is just the newest front. And started in Europe, now expanding to the Middle East. going to be expanding pretty soon to North America with Cuba, South America with Venezuela. So there you go.
Yeah, it's a whole lot of fun. And one of my best friends texted me today and she's like, I know that you're like a realist about these things. And like, they keep saying like an attack is imminent. And like, what do you think? And I was like, well, I don't know if it's going to be bombs that go off, but I think that somebody somewhere is going to start messing with our grid. I think they're going to start messing with our power, our internet, or all these things that we rely on. And it's going to, again, destroy us from the inside out. I don't know.
I'm so to people from, I say this again, people in the chat from other parts of the world.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I can only speak for myself. I probably can speak for you here too, Michelle. But
I mean, listen, I left my old life behind and threw everything into making sure that Donald Trump was never elected again. And, I helped elect Joe Biden one time, and then, we failed the next time as a country. And, at least I can say, and the one thing that I always have said, I don't want to wake up the day after an election and wish that I'd done more. And so I've done everything I could and everything I can with my capabilities. So all I can say to the people around the world is, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it wasn't enough.
Yeah,
I really am. And I'm so tired. All this stuff is making me very emotional today, but it's like, I'm exhausted. I'm so exhausted. Everybody is. And, you were talking, was it on the thing with Olga today? I don't remember. You're talking about the No Kings protests. And you're like, what are we going to do? We're going to just do this every 6 months? Cool. We need hype videos for this? Like what?
Yeah.
We all need to be hyped to show up to protest against a dictator? Like, what?
Yeah.
I'm very disappointed and I'm angry. I'm pissed off at my fellow Americans right now. I really am.
I agree.
I really am.
Well, on that happy note,
on that happy note, Julie's going to go to Japan and have lots of cool food that I see on the internet. And, we'll never know about except through my eyeballs. So you'll have to tell me how it is. And
I would just say you never know. You might go.
No? It's a long trip. That's a long trip. That's a long trip.
Long trip.
You know what I mean? I was like, Europe is like, okay, anywhere from like 6 to 8 hours. Like, okay, but then we're talking like 15. I'm like, ooh.
15 hours.
Oh
I did it. I flew to Thailand once, which was 18 and a half hours. And strangely, it was the easiest flight of my life.
Interesting.
I think maybe when you go that far, it's like,
yeah, you're like so far up and you're just kind of
like whatever.
Yeah. And you're in a big giant plane too. So you don't really feel really.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, it is so good to see everybody in the chat. Wanted to hop on one last time before I left.
Yeah.
I would try. It's a 14-hour time difference. So I don't know if we'll be able to do any of these when I'm there. Maybe.
Maybe. I mean, you can always just, ping me.
I might just do a quick live or something.
Yeah. Or send me a video and I'll put it up for you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I could do that.
Yeah. And also I want to apologize to people. Like I had a rough start to this week. And I am really behind on editing. And so I'm unfortunately not done with the podcast yet. So I'll make sure that I give it enough runway so that people will know about it and then be able to tune in, and I'll be in the chat and be able to answer to people and things like that. So
yes, but if you have not yet watched the first episode of the Illegals podcast, somebody's asking if my eye's okay. I think my eye's okay. Something wrong with it?
Oh, do you have something right here?
Do I?
Let me see it. No, it's not on my screen. No, on your other eye.
Here?
Yeah, I think there it is. It's gone.
Oh. Okay. Yeah, my eye's okay.
It looked like a shadow to me, but once you took it off, I was like, oh, maybe that is a thing.
It was some mascara or something.
Yeah.
My eye's okay.
Yeah.
I can't see anything without my glasses. Tell me if my eye's okay.
No, we're also like just unintentionally often dressed the same. Do you ever notice that?
Yeah, it's true.
Like I was like, we're wearing this black thing. And I show up in a white thing.
Oh, friends, I gotta go pack for this trip, which I have not even begun to really address. And I don't even know what the airport lines are going to be like tomorrow.
Oh God. Do you have global entry?
Global entry is on the way back.
Oh, is that how it works?
Yeah. So
I don't have it, so I don't know.
yeah, and it's getting through security.
Oh, right. Coming
I
back.
do have global entry, but nobody else in my family does. So I have to.
That's not really going to help you. As someone's asking, is Michelle on with Jeff tomorrow? I had not planned on it, but it's now 9 o'clock. I don't know. I'm sorry. I just don't know. I'll put it up if we plan to or not, or we'll figure it out. But I will be here on Saturday for sure. Julie never shows up in the ice skating top, Michelle.
That was a great outfit that Michelle had for the
True.
Olympics. That was great.
Yeah, true.
I don't have an idea. My son out of nowhere showed up and just was packing. It was like, oh look, a shark onesie, and I was like, what? Why? Where?
How do you have this?
Why do you have a shark onesie? So maybe I'll show up in a shark onesie.
Like one with arms and everything?
Oh no, it was a legit shark onesie with a whole
with like the thing.
The thing. And I was like, but why? So maybe maybe I'll show up in a shark onesie.
We should wear that. That would be fun.
Sure.
And actually, I'm going to go ice skating this weekend because this is the last weekend of ice skating at the Woolman Rink in the park this weekend.
Well, it's never the end of ice skating at Chelsea Pier, so maybe we could do that when I get back.
That's true. Oh, I would love to do that. That'd be fun.
Thank you. And for this one especially, I will do my best. I will do my best. But it is just mortifying to go there. I have to say, after what happened in the Oval Office today, it is just.
Should we play the clip? I have the clip here if people haven't seen it.
Yeah, why don't we just play it? So you know my humiliation as I go there.
Yeah.
And we didn't tell anybody about it because we wanted surprise. Who knows better about surprise than Japan? Okay? Why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Okay? Right? You know, he's asking me, no, you believe in surprise, I think much more so than us.
Look at the expression on her face.
There's two things happening. First of all, why didn't you anything about Pearl Harbor, number one. Number two, why didn't you tell me about Pearl Harbor? Me. So there's that. I'm like, Cupcake, you weren't here yet.
And by the way, how about the sycophants in that room laughing like, ha, ha, ha.
Oh,
you hear audible gasps from the press because they're not fully, and then you hear the sycophants laughing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like Brian Glenn and all those clowns. Jack Posobiec.
No, it's probably Rubio sitting there. It's all these assholes.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying like half the press pool is all just like bloggers and stuff anyways, but it's bonkers.
And now I'm supposed to go there and say, whoops, we're not all like that.
Yep.
I mean, I want to walk around being like, didn't vote for this guy.
I know. Or just have a Canadian.
A Canadian.
I have a friend who travels with a Canadian pin on her bag and stuff. She's like, I don't want people to know.
I mean, isn't that terrible that I have to pretend I'm Canadian? Like literally.
Yeah. Which, by the way, if people don't know this, there is a new ruling in Canada that if you have provable ancestors, great-grandparents, going back, I don't know how long, it's provable, you qualify for a Canadian passport, and guess who does?
Really?
Yeah, my second great-grandparents, both of them were Canadian. They were born in Gananoque. Mm-hmm.
Get on it.
Yeah, so I have most of my research because of DAR, so I have all of that stuff already for the most part. So just gotta hire an immigration lawyer. Cool stuff. So Heidi and folks, get ready. You're getting a new Canadian. Hopefully.
Well, the only thing I qualify for is Russian citizenship, so that's not happening. Yeah. Anyway, all right. You guys and Michelle, I will see you all when I get back in 2 weeks. If not sooner, hopefully I will try to do something sooner. And hopefully I don't get lynched by a bunch of very polite Japanese people.
I was going to say they're way too honorable.
They're way too honorable, but I
Right.
hope to God that
Yeah.
they understand that we're not all like this. And
make sure you post lots of stuff on Instagram. We all want to see it.
I will. All right, everybody. See you later.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.